and welcome along to the first edition of Alliance Leagues Reloaded 2019. Over the course of the next couple of months, we will tell you all you need to know about the Alliance Football and Hurling Leagues, as well as having a little bit of fun along the way. We're going to do so in the company of four-time All-Ireland winner Kieran Donaghy, and alongside him is a man who got to bow out at the very top at Limerick, the great Seamus Hickey, and Eamon Donoghue of the Irish Times. We would like you to get involved as well in the show, and you can do so by following us on the usual social channels on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube at Air Sport. Now, here's a little taste of what's to come on the show tonight. Yes, we have an exciting show in store for you tonight. You're all very welcome. Kieran, you're delighted to be here. You're smiling back at me. It's the start of the National League. How does it feel after so long being kind of on the outside now looking in? Obviously, it's for both of you guys, you know, because there's the anticipation of the league and now it's here. But now I suppose you're on the outside looking in. It's very different to what you're used to. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, it is tough, of course. You know, that excitement before the first game. I've been a bit lucky the last few years. I was able to play basketball and kind of miss the league and come in near the end of it. So I've been kind of used to the league. So hasn't hit me as much yet as I'm sure championship will. But certainly, as you say, not having any contact with the boys, I would have been in the gym with them all the time. So you'd be getting a feel for how things are going. Yeah. But definitely no, yeah, you're very much on the outside looking in and. We're happy enough with the result of the weekend.
Seamus, you're nodding away there. Are you feeling?
It's the lads you miss most of everything. Just the usual. So someone will ask you how so and so going in training. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I normally do know, and I'm normally trying not to tell everybody what's going on. But so yeah, no, it's strange. I only felt it when I was freezing cold on the sideline watching Tip and Clare play and going, I should be playing this season.
I know.
But yeah, no, it's strange. But at the same time, I felt I was ready to go, but we'll test that.
Well, we're delighted to have you in that chair. we can get all your expert analysis now.
You may regret that.
Their loss, but our gain.
Yeah.
How is it, lads, in terms of when you're sending text messages to the lads and asking how things are going? How's the injury? Are they kind of keeping their distance a little bit, or are they still?
I've half avoided the lads. Honestly, yes, because even so, like the team holiday was just so fresh for Limerick, I suppose, especially like we don't go on too many. So the lads, we were away, and I could essentially give them a bit of space. I don't really want to be in the rear, and obviously, you know, your own life goes on at pace when you've got as many things to do. So it's. Bit of a natural.
You don't want to be that guy either.
Bit of a natural separation.
Yeah, we've had so long of kind of people asking you, how's everything going?
Yeah,
and you're kind of like, you're trying not to give it away, so you don't want to be the guy looking in, kind of going, how's everything going? How are we getting on inside? Like
who's playing well in training?
Yeah,
like,
you really have to just step back.
And at this time of year as well, when it's, you know, there's new panels, there's new squads, new players' faces, they can nearly be a little bit sceptical about going outside the camp, talking even about how things are going to training.
Yeah.
Like, would you find that they're?
It's a strange. Listen, it's a strange dynamic. I suppose probably I work across buildings from Declan Hannon and Keane Lynch, so I see them a bit anyway. Like it's just a natural way of things. But and you'd be in touch with the people you're normally in touch with, but you wouldn't be talking about hurling.
Yeah.
You'd be talking about anything.
Will you be looking now to Kerry and Limerick with a very close eye this year, or are you just kind of looking forward to enjoying the games in general now that you're not in the thick of it?
I think we can enjoy it with the actual kind of pressure off. You know yourself, like when you're, as long as we were with just that pressure of performing for your county and performing for your team, I think get back to being a fan now and kind of enjoying it again. It will definitely be exciting for me, because the pressure as the years went on, as the older you get and you know there's not too much time left, the pressure is getting massive every game. So like my last few games was just like, you know, it just felt this huge pressure to play and you're kind of like, it should be the other way around. It should be a bit fun now, but certainly looking back to getting back into being a fan.
It's a nice feeling. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'll hold you to that now come championship.
It's good. I'm going to be taking my kids to my games. Yeah. It's going to be a nice feeling to be a proper fan again.
I know, that's true. Well, actually now, speaking of pressure, I suppose, and performance, you know, I suppose the whole idea of the new rules was to aid the performance and to better the game now, particularly in the likes of the football. Like, what do you make of the rules? Like, I mean, there was so many of them. There was so much talk about it. Your teams are settling into it now. Like, Kieran, what are your initial thoughts on them?
Yeah, well, I suppose, look, the big one was the hand pass one that got, that got put out in the end. The mark, looking at the Dublin and Monaghan game, brought huge excitement to that. The hand pass was always going to be a tricky one, I felt, especially I was always looking at it as an inside forward who would have came out and won a lot of ball off a hand pass to give another hand pass. If I'd have been counting the hand passes and get it and a Darren O'Sullivan going through off goal and I can't slip it to him, I always felt that was maybe that's what got that one put out at the end, because you couldn't have that really. You couldn't have a forward winning it with a guy going off for a goal chance and not being able to give the pass.
But speed of the hand pass, Eamon, Jim Gavin did come out and, almost like on his soapbox, and it's quite unusual for Jim, and he said that he felt that, people shouldn't have been, all the managers shouldn't have been going on about the rules. And, do you think that was one of the reasons why the hand pass was dropped, that rule in particular, because people gave out about it?
For sure, the pressure that was coming in from a lot of the players and the managers was intense. There's very few people coming out talking positively about it. But that was the thing, is the fear factor. Players don't want to be playing counting. They don't want to be playing worrying about, that takes away the expression from the game. And I think with the hand pass rule, Rob Carroll did a lot of research into it. It wasn't just thrown out there, but when you put out 3 hand passes, people are just terrified. If you put out 5 or 6, had a chance of getting through. But once 3 came in, it was just like, how can you have a functional hand passing movement with only 3 hand passing? So they're essentially trying to get rid of the hand pass out of the game. Yeah. Then people start to say, are we going to go back to football from, the 80s and whatever years?
But some teams didn't even have the opportunity to trial that rule. I mean, do you think that they pulled it out too quickly, that they didn't even allow it to even manifest in the league? They didn't review it after the league and say, it didn't work or it did work.
I suppose you have to kind of remember that there was 5 rule changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the standing committee on playing rules, they had the task to actually go in and try and improve the game as a spectacle through focusing on the core skills of the game in football, which is catch and kick. They're trying to promote those. So when you actually look at the 5 rules that they brought together, and I suppose they presented together, you're talking about, yes, we've got an awful lot of change here, but what is actually affecting the change on the field? Yeah. So you're actually trying a lot of things together. So you're trying to actually cope with the mark and the difference in, let's say, receiving a ball from a kick inside the 45 and actually having a chance to kick a score. Yeah. And you're trying to balance that then with 3 hand passes in a row. You have to stop and kick a ball. And if that's a 5-foot kick pass, you have to reset the chain. Yeah. So you could look at it and, maybe there is a better way or a better, I suppose, even platform to trial it. But the National League, with so much at stake, it's a very, very difficult platform to actually trial these rules when you've got promotion, relegation, and you've got sometimes seasons actually come down to it.
Yeah, there's big consequences on it. I think, even when the committee come up with the rules, I think there should be a forum of maybe going to players and managers through the GPA and even asking them, what do we think of these guys? Yeah. And they might have got a big kickback from it there, where they might have been able to actually hold it back. Or, I think the players and the managers shouldn't be the last to know about these rules. And I think it's, going forward, it should be looked at more about, because they're the guys that are going to be out trying to manage a team to win or stay up or whatever, and the players are going to be out there trying to execute these things. So
one thing I would say though, and especially as the rules committee was, the research was very thorough.
Yeah, and it
was very data driven. It was very data driven.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that it was knee jerk, let's throw it out and see what happens. So it is a concerted effort to improve football as a spectacle and improve the skills of football. And I don't think any of us could actually, in any way disagree with the motivation of it. But in the practicalities then about bringing that much change at one time,
exactly.
That's probably,
and it's panic, I suppose.
That's probably the crux of it. And then, maybe the biggest change of all in the hand pass was probably too much to handle.
Well, I suppose let's focus on one of the rules in particular. You were particularly impressed with Monaghan's effective use of the mark. Much more so than Dublin. They blew them away. Yeah. What impressed you?
Well, I think it was pretty noticeable, the fact that Dublin, these players have just come, not off the plane, but they've only been back for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And they've had very little practice in terms of the mark. But as you can see here, this is in the first half. Monaghan especially kicked on with the marks in the second half when Conor McManus came on. But they had 5 scores out of 6 offensive marks. Yeah. Dublin only had 2. The way they used it, for me though, it really showed, when people thought this rule was coming in, they assumed that the scoring area, there was going to be a lot of aerial ball coming in, there was going to be a lot of high fielding. But Monaghan showed a very different side to it. A lot of ball that traditionally would have been kicked outside the man, one hop. Now you're basically looking for more of a risky pass in terms of you're trying to hit the target bang on. But the way it's been used here is very different. Looking at Dublin, for instance, Dublin had a chance. It's 17 chances in the game of kick passes. to basically to have an offensive mark, and they still went with the 1 hop, the 2 hops coming in, because it's a riskier kick.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to hit a man smack on, it's harder for him to control it, and it's harder for you to hit that target. And if you didn't have the mark, then you're hitting the man, his momentum is gone, so he's kind of stuck with the ball. So it's changing the dynamics of the game more so than we thought it would.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think, lads. And is this what you were expecting when you first heard about this rule?
Well, for me, watching, like, having played international rules in a few series, you know, and I played alongside Benny Coulter, Stevie McDonald, Sean Kavanagh, they were brilliant at this mark, running out 30 yards, catching the chest, and they're so good kickers. Then it was like having a good free taker kicking a free that you're going to expect them to score. So I think some people had this notion that it was going to be lamped into the edge of the square for the big men.
Into big men like yourself.
Yeah, into big men to fight for it. But I think there's a wide variety of how this can be used, and I think Monaghan were excellent at that.
But you could see that Monaghan had put in the time and the effort. But I mean, I suppose, Seamus, you did, like, say, refer to before we went on air. Some counties might be like, well, this isn't going to be implemented for 18 months. So are they putting as much time into like using
It's a very
the
good point. So, like, for Dublin to have that many kicks inside the 45 and just bounce, it shows that it's not an area of focus for them, because the 2019 championship isn't going to be in play. Whether the actual rule is adopted and whether it's actually kept will be down to Congress, and that'll actually be a whole different story and a whole different conversation. But, you know, in the league there's benefits to be reaped from coaching the rule. But, you know, Jim Gavin is a very bright guy, I hear. So I don't think
when it's not relevant for the championship.
So he's prioritising.
Yeah, you can see they're probably just training, and they're probably just saying, look, it's all about championship for us right now, so we're not going to waste 3 months working on this kick. But at saying that, as you said earlier on, that kick you have to work more on your accuracy, you have to practice it more. But a kick into a forward is always better if it hits him into the chest than a bounce or 2 bounce, because you don't know what way it's going to bounce in the summer. So, you know, it would be a good thing to be working on anyway, you know, working on your accuracy from the kicks.
Well, we could talk about this all day. But we have to move on just to a little bit of hurling now for the moment. It all got underway on Saturday night at Semple Stadium as Liam Sheedy returned to the fold as Tipperary manager, and the Premier County got off to the perfect start against Clare.
Here at Semple Stadium this evening, the crowd are flocking in ahead of this opening round of the Alliance National Hurling League, and we're looking forward to what should be a cracking game.
This is really turning into a big rivalry. So are we seeing a kind of a changing of the guard?
Hogan it is that's taking this free, dropping it in around the edge of the square. Well run inside. Here's an opportunity. Surely a penalty. It is. Seamus Callanan causing absolute consternation inside there. The Tipperary captain, the Drummond Inchman, with the opportunity. Here he comes, picks it, strikes it. Brilliant save by Donaghy. The line ball is sent in and over the crossbar. That's a super skill, it has to be said.
Noel McGrath, how many times have we seen him doing that?
Inside it goes now, again towards Guilfoyle. Controls it and sends it in. The referee, though, was given a penalty. He was playing the advantage, I think. Clare could do with this one. Here it comes, Niall Deasy, step back, picks it, strikes it, and into the net! First goal of the National Hurling League, goes the way of Clare. Now Tipperary have it, shoulder into the chest, as it says the referee, and he's going to award a free. And the colour of the card, I'm sure from Colm Lyons, is probably just going to be yellow. He's having a chat. Oh, it's a straight red card!
No send off in my book, and listen, one of the best hurlers in the game, gone.
Morris under a bit of pressure, lays the hand pass off. Chance across the centre for Callanan! Brilliant goal!
Lovely pass, look at the precision in that. Callanan catches the ball and buries it.
Morris back again towards Callanan, he's through again! Oh, 2 goals in the space of a minute for Seamus Callanan. They're absolutely choking Clare.
Oh, look at this for a flick. That comes from years and years hitting the ball off the wall in Drummond Inch.
The referee has decided the final whistle is blown. It's victory for Tipperary, 2 goals and 16 to 111.
It's hard to believe that is actually only the first round of the league. I mean, like, you just feel the tension, the temperature. Speaking of tension, though, we saw 3 red cards over the weekend, Seamus.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I suppose, I mean, there was a directive that came in. We know that they wanted to really stamp out, for example, the high tackles, the high contact. What was your take on the red cards?
So, like, I suppose the thing here is that there wasn't any rule changes in hurling here, but there was a point of emphasis or a focus put on anything to do with contact to the head. Here you have Tony Kelly coming in very quick, and he's trying to make a tackle at a high speed against a big man. Now, You can actually see him here. Look, it's a frontal charge. He leads with his hands more so than his actual forearm. He's trying to slow down Paddy's momentum and so they're coached to put the hand in the chest to stop momentum. That's what Clare have been coached to do. That's what Paul Kinnerk coached us to do in Limerick. Break the momentum with your forearm or your palm. And work away. The referees, after interpreting as the hand rose up and hit him in the face. Here in Wexford, Liam Ryan just nudged Keane Lynch into the I suppose, sponsorship boards. Seamus Flanagan then, like most players will do, is going to jump in and say, listen, you can't do that to my teammate.
But there's a melee then that happens.
See, Seamus actually then paid for the fact that it turned into something bigger. And when it turns into a melee of more than 4 or 5 players, the third man in has to go.
But is it difficult then for referees, because these are the rules they're being given, and they're going by them to the letter of the law. But if, like you said, in terms of the game, are they red cards? Like, did you think they were red cards?
Listen, the Tony one, I think I was going to be given out if he got a yellow. I thought it was. I genuinely was. And like Tommy, you could see Tommy on the broadcast.
The co-com. Yes, he was.
He was aghast at it. Like, he went in at a high speed for a tackle.
Yeah.
I thought he actually led with. He didn't lead with his shoulder, because you can't lead with his shoulder into the chest. I thought he led with his hands. So it was difficult. Hands rode up, and I understand the motivation of protecting the player and their heads. But to me, it wasn't.
What did you think?
Yeah, well, for this one, I kind of compare it to rugby in terms of when you've got these rules for health and safety, essentially, is what they're for. So in rugby, if someone's tackled in the air, it can be accidental, it can be complete coming together, it can't be the player's fault, but he's still going to be punished for it. So this rule has been brought into hurling for health and safety for the players. So for me, if the referees are saying it's a red card when you tackle the head, then that's a stonewall red card. But I do understand that from that doesn't make it fair. In rugby they have the TMO, so they can come in and they can say, was this deliberate, was this accidental, and they can kind of gauge on then, is it a sin bin and is it a red card, is it just a penalty, where the referee has to make the decision on the spot.
And even in this instance there, you've got, so like the referee had to react was Paddy Maher hitting the ground, the doctor coming in and actually treating him for a neck injury, and straight away, like he actually has very limited options in that case. He's treating for a head injury. There's been contact at the head. I actually have to send him off. But if you did actually have a look back at this, I think you would actually see he went for the chest, hands came up. These are the grey areas you're dealing with. It's tough to be a referee.
If it's a Munster final or an All-Ireland final.
Well, that's it. Would those red cards have been given in Championship?
I don't think they ever would. So I think we should be, whatever the rules are for the year, should be trying to implement them every game as a big game to that player. That's a huge game for Tony Kelly, a great hurler.
Exactly.
And next thing he's kind of there looking at him, kind of going, no way, you're not going to send me off. And it's a red.
The game as a spectacle, which at least is a good, Well, I know.
I thought it killed Clare.
It did, but at the same time, though, still, there was a lot of other talking points, and we don't want to be focusing too much on the
referees are under pressure, and they've got these referees panels as well. So, listen, this is multifaceted. If you ask me if it's a red card, I didn't think it was.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you on that. OK, time for a quick break. When we come back, we will preview round 2 of the Alliance Football Leagues. See you in a few.